Good evening, viewers. This is attorney Naresh Gehi, and welcome to Green Card with Gehi. And today we are going to discuss about a very important issue. And most of our shows are based upon demand. So we try to get a good mix of shows for people. And today we're going to discuss the battered spouse provision under the Immigration and Nationality Act. And our next show, let us announce it right away. It's going to be about employment-based immigration, and we are going to talk about the labor certification process that leads you to the green card, which means we're going to talk about permanent residence through your employer, which means how can you sponsor yourself if you find an employer in the United States. And this show is going to be very good for people who are on student visas, especially if they are under the STEM occupation, and especially if they do not have an H-1B option, if they can directly sponsor themselves for a green card without undergoing the H-1B process. So permanent residence through an employer is going to be the topic. And this is going to help people who actually have an employer. And if the employer intends to directly sponsor the employee without going through the H-1B process. And this will be good for students who have an OPT, a 3-year OPT. This can be good for people who are on an H-1B. This can also be good for people who are on different kinds of visas in the United States. Very interesting topic. And my topics are actually picked by our viewers. So anytime we get a topic, we try to kind of research the issue, and we make sure that we make it very simple for our viewers to understand so that they can succeed in achieving the mission in connection with immigration to the United States of America. So firstly, I need to thank Dan Lehevich, Aminuddin, and Sultan Ahmed for basically hosting the show. And we are going to make sure that the rules are simple. And as always, if you are an existing client, you have to email us at info@gehilaw.com. Due to confidentiality reasons, I will not be able to answer your question during the show, but you can call us and you can email us and we'll be happy to answer your question. But if you're a first-time caller, this show is live on Zoom. So what you can do is you can kind of basically click on Facebook and you'll be live and I'll be able to take your question. Same thing if you're on YouTube, this is being streamed live. So it's good for you to ask your questions from there. If not, the other trick is basically you can ask a question on the chat box over here and you can just basically kind of, chat with us. And that's the best way to kind of ask us questions. So these are some basic rules, and let me answer a few questions. We have 2 more minutes, and the questions were asked by a lot of viewers. That one of them was, Mr. Gehi, does your firm handle immigration cases from all over the United States? The answer is that we handle immigration cases from all over the United States and the world. Our personal consultations are free. Our email consultations are free, and especially our services are meant for people who intend to retain a lawyer. But if you're interested in getting a second opinion, that may be subjected to a paid fee because you already have a lawyer or your company has a lawyer. Or if you're doing the paperwork on your own, then I think you need to contact USCIS. So we also want to clarify the rules of free consultations for people. So I believe in having a very clear chemistry with my viewers. So besides that, some other questions that were asked, a lot of questions are being asked about the E2 visa, especially from people from the UK and from Canada. Yes, the good news is that we are still processing the e-visas. They have not stopped. So continue the e-visas if you are a member of the e-visa countries such as Canada, United Kingdom, and if you are from Bangladesh, if you're from Pakistan, that is an e-visa country and that can really help you in kind of achieving your immigration goals. So look into the E2 visa category, look into the E1 visa category. That can be excellent. So we are going to talk about some very, very important cases, and we're going to talk about battered spouses today, and uh, and we're going to take a lot of examples. The reason I give examples because law can be very complicated. So my viewers have told me to cite as many examples as possible so people can understand basically the maze of complexities which are involved in the legal system in a very simple way. So I'll try to make it easy. So let's get going. It's 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Firstly, welcome to Green Card with Gehi. The instant program is an attorney advertisement under the laws of New York. Prior results do not guarantee future outcome, and the information which will be given to you will be general in nature unless and until an attorney-client relationship is entered into writing between the parties. So first thing first, what is a battered spouse? A battered spouse is someone who is subjected to extreme cruelty under the law and is married to a green card holder or to a US citizen, or is a child as a parent of a US citizen or a green card holder. So those are the people who can actually apply under VAWA, against the Violence Against Women's Act. So now, why is this particular program under immigration law of a battered spouse so important? Battered spouses are important because the issue is that you get married to someone. For example, if you are a spouse, I'm talking about a spouse in particular, and now you're having differences with your partner. And your partner can be a member of the same sex, or your partner can be a member of the opposite sex. You got married and you're very happy when the marriage occurred. But now your dreams are drowned. Your dreams are drowned because there are irreconcilable marital differences between you and your spouse, and your US citizen spouse or your green card holder spouse is subjecting you to extreme cruelty, which means under the Violence Against Women's Act, now that applies equally to men. So the big misconception is that people think that the Violence Against Women's Act only applies to women. That is incorrect. It applies to men too. So if a man is subjected to extreme cruelty from a female partner, even he can qualify as a battered spouse. So that's one good thing. Now there can be two kinds of marriages. One can be a marriage with a member of the opposite sex. So let's take a simple example. You're married to a US citizen, and your husband is torturing you now. Initially, the marriage was very good, but suddenly he started beating you. He's abusing you physically and mentally. And you feel that your life is miserable. You feel in a helpless situation. Very often, I've also noticed that there are some US citizens who also threaten their spouses that they're going to get them deported if they do not adhere to the unlawful and extortionate demands, which means if you do not succumb to the pressure, they want to get you deported. That's what they say. Firstly, he cannot do that. He cannot threaten you. So number one, there's light at the end of the tunnel in the event if you are being subjected to extreme cruelty by your US citizen spouse or by your green card holder spouse. Now what happens? Let's take different scenarios. You married him and he applied for a green card process. You got your work permit, you're very happy. But before the interview, he's showing you his true colors, or she's showing you her true colors. Now she tells you that, hey, my foreign spouse, Miss Smith, I don't want to go for the green card interview with you. And she's troubling you. or he's troubling you, the US citizen is troubling you because they want to make your life miserable. This person is beating you physically, using curse words against you, swearing against you every single day, and you are mentally depressed. You're scared, and getting scared is a normal human behavior, and you don't know what to do. You're even scared to call the police. You're even scared to go and see the doctor because you're worried that immigration will come and pick you up because either you are in the middle of your process or you have been out of status in the past. Those are common things that happen to battered spouses. And believe it or not, I've handled cases from all over the United States when it comes to battered spouses. That's one area that we've been working on very hard for our clients. Now, he doesn't want to go for the interview. What should you do? Immediately get in touch with the lawyer. Get in touch with someone who knows what he's doing. And then that lawyer should be competent enough to understand the meat and potatoes of your case. Especially because there's a lot of work that goes in the filing of these applications. Which means when you're filing these applications, it's not a joke. You need to really, really prove that you have been subjected to extreme cruelty. Additionally, you also need to show that you entered the marriage in good faith. You also need to show that you do not intend to circumvent the immigration laws of the United States. You also need to show that your marriage was bona fide. So there are tons of issues that get involved in battered spouse cases. So now, the question which I get is, will my spouse know about it? Will I need a signature? The answer is you do not need your spouse's signature. The question was, do I need my spouse's signature? I do not need that. We do not need it if you have been subjected to extreme cruelty. So the good news is the law allows you to self-sponsor yourself for a green card because you are a battered spouse. And the system has sympathy for you because they do not want you to be tortured. The next question which I get from a lot of my viewers is it necessary, is it mandatory to have a police report? The answer is no. It is not mandatory for you to have a police report, but it definitely helps. The next question which I get, should I call the police if I am being subjected to abuse? My answer is yes. Remember what I say during my shows to all my friends. Fortune favors the brave. When the great get going, the going gets great. If you are facing this torture, the bottom line is stand up and fight for your rights. You have legal rights in this country. The United States is a great country and it helps people, especially when they're being tortured. So if you are witnessing torture, if you are being mentally abused, first thing you need to do is to reach out to a lawyer. It's very taxing upon you to basically even come out of that situation. And there have been situations wherein families have called me because the person who's in trouble sometimes doesn't even have the courage to call us. So their friends call us. Family members have called us from foreign countries. And then we've gotten in touch with even the police department at times. Because I do understand the pain and the anguish that you may be undergoing in the event if you are a victim of torture. It's not easy, folks. Now, we spoke about a citizen, and he doesn't want to go for the interview. No problem. We can self-sponsor you for the green card. And basically, and on many cases, I've seen that, we've won a lot of these cases. But remember, prior results do not guarantee future outcome. Yes, we've won a lot of these cases, but prior results do not guarantee future outcome. So the thing is that fight for your rights. Now, we spoke about a situation wherein the spouse is not going for the interview. Situation number 2, you married somebody. You're living with that person for so many years. I have seen this too. You crossed the border and came to this country. You're married to a green card holder, or you're married to a citizen. But this particular person doesn't want to sponsor you. He's just troubling you. He's harassing you. And he just wants to make your life miserable. And your children, and you're worried, you're sitting in a corner in your house. You don't know when you're going to get your green card. Do you know if you're undergoing mental torture? Doesn't matter even if you cross the border and you came in. Yes, you may be eligible for a green card in America because people who are battered spouses, they have an exception for adjustment of status in the United States under Section 245 of the Immigration and Nationality Act. And battered spouses happen to be one of those exceptions. Now, there are a few other things you need to know about battered spouses. If you are divorced from the person, you have to file your battered spouse application within 2 years from the date of the divorce. Very, very important. If you don't, you may miss the bus. And that is very, very important for you. Another thing that you should know about battered spouses is that you need to have the right paperwork. That is very important. So if you don't put in the right paperwork, your case is going to be denied. So this is the second category of people whom we mentioned, especially about battered spouses, wherein you are married to this person, but this person has not even filed a single document, and you want to leave him. What did I say? This person has not filed any documents, but he's an American citizen or a green card holder. So the good news is that even if you have not even processed your paperwork, you can still apply for your green card under the battered spouse provision if you are subjected to extreme cruelty, even if he has not applied, provided your spouse is an American citizen or is a green card holder. Sometimes I get calls from Florida. I get calls from the state of Washington. I get calls from Washington, D.C. I get calls from Maryland. I get calls from Georgia. I get calls from Chicago, from everywhere. You can be subjected to cruelty in any state. And the good thing is an immigration lawyer can assist you from anywhere in the United States. He doesn't have to be in that state in order to assist you. That's the good thing about immigration law. So if you are in that vulnerable situation, you don't have to take torture from your spouse. Now, the third situation is very important. The third situation entails people who got that 2-year green card, but now when you are trying to apply for the removal of your conditions, this spouse of yours who's an American citizen or a green card holder is changing his or her mind. Seen that happening a lot. If you are in that situation, you need to make sure that you better take charge of the situation, especially because if your application for the removal of conditional residence get denied, there is a very strong likelihood that you will have to appear before an immigration judge and the government is going to issue you a notice to appear before an immigration judge and ask you why you should not be ordered deported from the United States. Then you'll have the right to face, to basically be present before a judge. But that procedure can become very difficult at times. It can be very stressful for you. You can even lose your case and be ordered deported. So the better thing to do is no sooner you realized that you have a 2-year green card and your spouse is not supporting you, start planning your life accordingly. Don't wait for the last minute. Also, I've seen American citizen spouses and green card holder spouses who give a run around to their spouse. The most difficult thing under the battered spouse provision, which I've seen, is they confuse the foreign spouse. They confuse them. That's on one day they'll tell them, I'll support you. Second day they change their mind. Do not buy their talk. Don't buy their baloney. So basically, bottom line is, you have to protect yourself. The Lord is the strength of the strong. So at the end of the day, it's you and only you who can protect your own legal rights. You cannot expect anybody else to assist you with your own legal rights. So make sure that you act diligently, you act promptly, and make sure that you exercise your legal rights, and you can self-sponsor yourself under the battered spouse provision for a green card. So that's a great news, and your spouse will not even know as to what you are doing. I've seen situations wherein people continue to live together, and you can still live with the person, and you can still file your own application. And what can really help your case is basically if you can stand up for your legal rights, and if you make early decisions in your life wherein you know where you stand in your relationship with your partner, that's going to help you a lot. Because sometimes I've seen that, I've also seen people actually who go for the interview. I've seen US citizens going for the interview. And in order for them to just trouble their spouses, I've also heard stories wherein these people go to immigration and let them know, hey, listen, I married this lady for papers only. But then actually that wonderful lady was married to him for love. So be careful, be safe rather than sorry. Anytime if you feel that your US citizen spouse or your green card holder spouse is not doing justice to you. So this extreme cruelty provision also applies to children of US citizens. So if you have a father who's an American citizen, and if you're a child, and if your father's abusing you, you can still use that. Your mother's abusing you. Or if you're a parent, which means if your son who's over 21 years old, he's abusing you in the house, you can also self-sponsor yourself. If your son is abusing you and you're the mother, you can also self-sponsor yourself. So folks, this has been a very, very interesting session. And especially for people when they're looking at a battered spouse, I've literally given you everything, literally everything, not everything, that you need to know in very simple terms. I really did put in a lot of time into this particular session, especially because I get disheartened to see as to why people don't treat people nicely and fairly. And it's so sad to see what some people have to undergo in their lives, the amount of torture they have to undergo for no apparent reason, just because this wonderful person doesn't have a green card. So what you can do is that you can share these videos, especially to people who are undergoing abuse, and they should be educated about their legal rights. So it's 6:49 p.m. And yes, we are going to take questions And the questions are going to be open, and we're going to talk to you about every question on immigration you may have. So you can ask us questions about your immigration matter, and we'll try our best to answer them. But if there's any particular question which I feel is I would prefer speaking to you confidentially, email me as always at info@gehilaw.com. And I'm going to first start with typing my email address. It's info@gehilaw.com. And if you want to reach us, it's 718-764-6911. You can also call this number tomorrow, and I'll be happy to basically assist you with your questions. So let's open the floor for questions. And if there are any questions, please start typing them, or you can come on the show and I'll be happy to answer your questions. So let's see, there are some questions already. So let's see what's going on here. Okay, so this is a question from Mohsin Ghafoor. He's a pharmacist, and firstly, you need to see, Mohsin, which country are you from? That would help me a lot. So if you can let us know the country you are from, then I can give better options. But if you are a pharmacist, then you can basically, what you need to do is, if you are from a country other than India, because India is very much backlogged, and if you look for an employer, then you may have a possibility for permanent residence to the United States. Or for Canada, I don't do Canadian immigration, so you'll have to speak to a Canadian attorney about that. So that's the question from Mr. Mohsin Ghafoor. So if you want, you can email us your resume, and I can look into it and let you know what your options would be in terms of basically your status, your actually kind of intention of settling in the West. So that's the answer for Mr. Mohsin Ghafoor. And if there are any other questions, feel free to kind of, basically you can chat with us. We are live right now, or you can email us, or the best thing to do, since it's a live show on Zoom, come up and ask me a question, and I'll be happy to take your question. What are some workarounds for Trump's work visa ban? Sarwar Habib from Facebook, what are some? Well, number one is that I must say that, the current administration has done is incorrect. There are bans. People who are stranded outside who are on H-1B visas. Their spouses are stranded. And I think that's not right of what is being happening. And they're stranded until the end of the year. And I hope that the ban can be lifted earlier. So answer to Sarwar Habib's question is that the e-visa is a very good option if you're a member of the e-visa country, or the TN visa option is an excellent option for Canadians. Or if you're from, another country, and if you have a sponsor, we've been helping people actually to get the permanent residence through the sponsors. And if they have the right skills and if the employers want them, you should go for the green card directly. That is an option too. What is the best way to get USA green card? I'm from India. Best way is, Rajesh, nowadays it's a little difficult. If you're a PhD and if you have a lot of publications, then you can look into the self-sponsorship category for the green card. You can look into the investors category, which is more than $900,000 these days. Or if you're single, and if you can get married to a green card holder or to a citizen, that would be a best bet to try to immigrate to America. So that is a question for my answer to Rajesh. Now, the next question is that I'm from Bangladesh. What options for green card do you have? First thing, if you're from Bangladesh, I have a lot of clients from Bangladesh. And the very first thing you need to look into is, first send me an email and let me check your resume, and you may have options. Luckily, the good thing is that you should consider the e-visa. If you can invest money in a business, that would help you a lot. So then we can analyze your resume and let you know of exactly what your chances will be, Sajjad. So try to look into the e-visa, which is a fantastic thing for people from Bangladesh. And that can help you actually to at least come to the United States and start your own business. That's the answer to Sajad's question. And if you have any more questions, I'd love to basically speak to you on Zoom. What's happening with my Zoom callers these days? I want to see some faces on Zoom. So everyone is shy today. They want to basically kind of chat. Need to drink your coffee and come up over here. I'd love to basically answer your questions, folks. So please start either typing your questions or you can ask me your questions and I'd love to answer. It's your time. Remember, as I promised you, I'll be giving you some time for your questions, and it can be anything about immigration. You can be sitting anywhere on the globe, and if your question concerns US immigration, I'll be more than happy to answer your question at this time on my Zoom show or on chat. Okay, I'm going to count 30 seconds, and let's see if we have a question posted by a viewer. All right, so we have a question here from Mohammed Dabian from Facebook. How is COVID being dealt at the border? So as far as, you have a student visa and, you have to just follow the quarantine rules. You have to make sure that you isolate yourself for 2 weeks. You're pretty much good to go. And as far as you have a doctor's letter, and if you're in good health, I don't see it to be a problem. So make sure that you check your temperature, get a medical checkup. Always be safe rather than sorry, because some officer may raise the issue of inadmissibility at the border if he sees that you have COVID. So that's one new thing, and that's a very good question, Mohammed. Officers can stop you if they see that COVID is a ground of inadmissibility. They may kind of just write you up. So the bottom line is what I would do, get a medical checkup, make sure that you're tested negative, you're fine, and you have a doctor's letter that basically you're good to go. Then I wouldn't worry about it. That's something very important. All right, now another question we have here is Howard Michael from Facebook, where should people be, when should be about ICE raid most in the US? Now, people should be worried now. This is a very good question. If you are overstaying your visitor's visa, there's a big problem you're facing these days. I've seen people getting letters from ICE stating, sir, you have overstayed your visa. Madam, you have overstayed your visa. Let us know why you're not leaving the country or exercising your other options. Otherwise, they may even come to your house, pick you up, handcuff you, put you in immigration jail, and send you before an immigration judge. So, bottom line is, if you are undocumented, contact any immigration attorney of your choice. Stay documented, especially because immigration is becoming difficult. And the system does not like people who just sit and who do not do anything about their immigration status. They prefer people who legalize themselves and live in the United States. Now, another very good question. Must the self-petitioner remain married to the abusive spouse until the petition is approved? From Sam. Excellent question. The answer is no. I've handled many cases wherein I told the petitioner, or the beneficiary actually of the application, she doesn't have to remain married, especially if he or she is undergoing torture. But remember, the key is that you have to apply within 2 years from the date of your divorce. And that is very important. If the letter of the law is not followed, then you can have problems with that. So we have time for one more question. Let's see who's the last questioner. And the last but not the least, let's look at the next question for today. Can a man file a self-petition under the Violence Against Women Act? 100%. A man can also apply for basically an application. Doesn't matter. The Violence Against Women's Act also applies to men equally. So it doesn't matter if you're a male or a female. It applies equally under the law, and a man and a woman can actually qualify, self-sponsor themselves for a green card under the battered spouse provision and commonly referred to as VAWA, V-A-W-A. So folks, thank you so much for watching this show. We'll be back again. Very interesting show coming up next week. Getting your green card through your employer. Getting your green card through your employer. This is going to benefit students who are on F1 visas, people who are legal in the country. How can they qualify for a green card through the employer? Thank you, folks. The instant program is an attorney advertisement. Thank you for watching this program brought to you by Gehi and Associates, and thank you for watching Green Card with Gehi. The instant program is an attorney advertisement. The prior results do not guarantee future outcome. We handle immigration cases from all over the United States and the world. You can reach us at info@gehilaw.com, or you can call us at 718-764-6911 for a free initial personal consultation. We'll be back again next week, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Keep watching Green Card with Gehi.